Welcome everybody. I'm Michele Place, bringing you my second installment of Myofascial release with the foam roller. As a review, myofascial means muscle and fascia. Fascia is also known as connective tissue. It connects all the soft tissue in the body, from the tiniest fiber in a muscle to the muscle itself to groups of muscles. It is meant to slip and slide and have mobility throughout our body so that we can experience the greatest potential and range of motion and movement. The problem arises is when we have adhesions or scar tissue, we're dehydrated, we have some overuse. And additionally, repetitive movements. For example, if you're right-handed, much of your movement will be in this direction. So we set our body up for an imbalance based on that, or work-related issues or work-related patterns. The foam roller is an excellent tool for helping to break down adhesions, hydrate. It also reduces muscle soreness, joint stiffness. It's a wonderful tool. It's easy, it's quick. It's not meant to be painful. So if you're feeling like it's too intense, please back off. Don't work in areas that feel like they're unsafe for you or uncomfortable. When the fascia is pushed or under chronic stress, it begins to thicken, right? It tries to protect the muscle beneath. So we're trying to reduce that so we feel better, we can move more freely. I want to just show you this soft roller. It's by OPTP. It has a tacky quality, you can see that. It's also squishy. So it's much more forgiving, and it's gentle, and it holds the body a little more snug or tacky in a good way. So if you'd like to order one of these, great. If you have a harder roller, just be careful. I'll be showing you some options to alleviate some of the pressure as we're moving today. In my previous video, we worked on the back body, the thoracolumbar fascia, reducing tension in through the shoulders, the upper back, mid back, low back. We're now moving into the lower body. If you still feel tension in that back area after the first video, I would suggest incorporating the first part of this in particularly for your glutes, external rotators, around the SI joint. It can help to complete that release that we started in the previous video. Let's get started. Lying on our backs. As always, gently bridging up and down to elongate your body. Let's go ahead and bridge up once or twice, starting from the tailbone. Feel the trajectory of the tailbone, bringing your body up. Very little muscle activation here, just sensing the bone rhythms. Take a nice breath and come back down. Notice how your body leaves the mat. Can you experience movement from one vertebra to the next? Are there areas in that low back or thoracolumbar junction that might be a little sticky for you? Nice deep breath. Stop, soften the sternum and coming back down. We're going to drop our legs to the side, noticing how that movement travels up the body from the hips to the ribs to the shoulders. As you come back, weight your pelvis to bring the legs back, and then let the knees drop to the other side. Noticing how far the legs go before they start to move the pelvis, the low back, the ribs, the shoulder. And as you exhale, again, allow the weight of the pelvis to drop down to the floor to bring you back. Let's try that one more time, either side. Softening into the mat, weighting the pelvis. It's a nice time just to relax before we move into the foam roller. The next thing I'd like us to do is elongate the legs. Let's bridge up a little bit here. Bridge up, lengthen, and then extend the legs down. From here, let's rock the feet, knees in and out. Feel the movement originating up in the hip sockets. Notice if the movement is different from the right leg to the left leg. We're assessing internal rotation and external rotation. Notice who moves in more, who moves out more, who creates drag up into the pelvis and the hip socket. Great, that's your assessment. Let's go ahead and roll over and grab our foam roller. If these positions are uncomfortable for you, feel free to take a break or figure out a way that this works best for you. So I'm going to, I have my back of my pelvis resting on the roller, tailbones down this end, top of the pelvis up here. I'm going to go ahead and cross, check your shoulder girdle, make sure your elbows are soft, not hyperextended, right? Soften the elbows. Make sure you're comfortable through your shoulders. Let that ankle, left or right leg, whatever this looks like to you, above the knee. If this is too tight for you, intense for you here, walk the foot out, right? You could also, if that's not comfortable for you, you could bring the foot here and do the same rolling motion. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be dropping towards the bent leg. Dropping towards the bent leg. Allow that knee to drop over towards the side. Feeling the roller, the pelvis, move across the roller from the sacrum out to the thigh bone. We don't want to roll too fast, right? We want to give the brain enough time to tell the body to relax. I'm going to be moving the roller towards my heel a bit so that the roller's moving a little higher on my pelvis. I've got some core support, shoulder girdle support. I'm going to go a little higher. Right, so we're just finding those areas that may be tender. Remember, where you're tender and where your body's uncomfortable may not be where the problem is originating from. It could be the result of something else. So sometimes gently treating the area that's tender for about 20 seconds is not a bad idea, but go ahead and treat the whole area just to cover your bases. Now I'm going to leave the roller here, and now I'm going up and down. So this is a little cross fiber work of the glutes, or release of the glutes and those muscles that turn the leg out. It can even, move deeper into the pelvic floor for a nice release. I'm going to adjust my arms a bit. Remember, you can turn your hands in or out. You could come up on a fist. That's not a bad option if you're not comfortable on the wrists. Nice and slow. And try to relax, right? Try to relax the body into this. If this is uncomfortable, if you're on a hard roller, you could put more weight on this foot, Or remember, you can bring the leg off. And then I can push down into this foot and lift my pelvis a little bit. It's going to be a little more arm and shoulder work, but it might be a little more comfortable in through that area. And breathe. Great. From here, we're going to just do the other side. So I'm going to turn around. Coming back up on that roller, crossing the ankle. Finding some place in the middle, or more towards my tailbone actually. So as I'm dropping over to this side, I'm just above my sitting bone. My sitting bone's right here, right? So I can actually feel that I'm sort of strumming across the top of that sitting bone a bit. It's a tender spot, but it's one of those feels good places. Checking shoulder girdle and pelvis. Give the brain time to tell the body we want to relax into this area. So there's a one point that's a little tender for me, more so than the others. I'm going to spend about 20 seconds, very slow, relaxing into that space. There's a little bit of a fascial restriction can cause sort of trigger points in the body, so I keep my eyes open for that. Feels like it's softening. I'm able to work with that. I'm going to roll the roller more towards my foot, and again, rocking over to the side. I am letting my upper body move with me, so do find a rhythm in this that feels comfortable for you. You might move your head around a little bit so your neck doesn't become stiff. I'm going to move a little further up the pelvis. And then from here, I'm doing that cross fiber work. So I'm rolling from the top, my knee is dropped down to the side, right? And I'm rolling towards the sitting bone and then back to the pelvis slowly, and breathe. Try to maintain as good a posture as you can here as you're moving. And two more. And last one. Great work. Nice job. We're moving that roller back over to the other side of the body. We're going to be placing the foam roller at between the hip bone and the thigh bone. This is tensor fascia lata release. We can continue to work into the glutes there as well. So coming over to the side, I'm above my thigh bone, that greater trochanter, I'm above it. And then my top of my pelvis is here, my thigh bone is here, and that roller fits right into that space. From here, I'm going to bring my pelvis forward and back. So if you remember from the previous video, we did this on the back of our body, that moving forward and back. There's a little feeling of tugging on the tissue. You could tilt back a little bit if you'd like. That might feel good into the glute area. Make sure you've got some nice shoulder girdle mechanics. The legs can be wherever it feels comfortable for you. So now I'm going to roll, I'm going to bring the top leg forward. I'm going to tilt my pelvis towards the floor a little bit. Now the roller is right below my hip bone. I can feel my hip bone right on the top of the pelvis. Here's one, here's the other. From here, again, I'm doing that, it's called a smearing technique. So you're pulling that skin back and forth, right? It's as if you had sort of a tight shirt on and you were sort of tugging on the fabric to move your arm up into that sleeve like an Under Armour. You're loosening up your Under Armour. No armor. Good, nice work. And coming off and over to that other side. Again, find some good posture, shoulder girdle mechanics. The roller, top of my pelvis is here, thigh bone is here. And again, forward and back. So as you can see, I'm not rolling my body. You could take hold of the roller, that might be helpful too. I'm pulling forward and pushing back. It feels quite comfortable for me today. Make sure you're okay. Now, if you needed to relieve some of that pressure, you could, push into this foot a little bit. You could use your shoulder girdle. You can see I'm tucking my toes down here. So there's many ways to reduce the pressure, should that feel better to you. I did like that moving into the back of the pelvis. I'm going to do a little bit of that. Try not to tighten your muscles here in your supporting your body. Like, you do want to be relaxed. You want to breathe. Remember, it's slow. Good. And then bring that top leg to the front, tilting the pelvis to the floor. Now my hip bone is just right up here at the top of the roller. And from here, it's like I'm scrubbing right underneath that hip bone. Good. Shoulder girdle, check. Breath, check. Great. Nice work. Let's go to the inner thigh. I am going to get to the IT band, but I'm sort of working around the IT band before I come right into it. It's really fibrous, it's really hard, it can be very tender. So I'm going to work the areas around that IT band before coming to the IT band itself. So I'm going to lie on my stomach, and I'm going to place the foam roller under my inner thigh. Now, this might take a little time to figure out what position works best for you. As a reminder, make sure your abdominals are drawing in and up, right? I'm supporting on both arms. Hands could be in together, thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm trying to roll from the knee to the pubic bone. I'm going to try a little different angle here. Just continuing to shift your body around to find the position that feels comfortable. Be aware if something's feeling nervy to you, right? You don't want to live there, right? It's okay if you feel a little bit of nerve, but be careful, be aware of that. And then let's go to the other side. Again, inviting you to play with these positions to find the position that's best for you. If rolling all the way out to the pubic bone is uncomfortable for you, that broad stroke, it's not very manageable, then maybe do the portion closer to the knee to begin with, gently. Trying to relax, but yet having that support. And then maybe you move the roller up a little bit higher, and then you can get the second area. Sometimes in bringing your posture in to support yourself through this, you also create tension through the rest of the body. Do try to relax into the area that we're working on. And I think we're good there. So we're moving on to the quads. From here, come on down. I'm just above the knee. Do be careful around your knees. Make sure that this feels appropriate to you. My legs are in parallel. I've got support and shoulder girdle support. And I'm gently going to roll from the knee to the pubic bone. Again, if this feels like too large of a movement for your body, break it into twos, right? So one of the things I noticed is that I was tensing my quads. I'm going to try to relax into that area, so I'm not going to point my toes or do anything that would fire up my quads, my hip flexors here. Slow. I can feel an area right about there that's a little tender. So I'm going to take about 20 seconds of very slow, concentrated movement and continue to try to relax. If you feel any discomfort in your knees, stay a little further away from that area. Turning, I'm going to tuck my toes. I'm going to lift my hips, turn my thigh bones in, and do the same thing. I like the shoulder girdle work on this, and a little core. To release your neck, keep lengthening through the top of the head. Keep dropping those shoulders down away from your ears. This feels pretty good to me. And let's stop again. Lift the hips. This time I'm going to turn the toes out, the heels towards each other. That feels good right around the knee area for me. It's a little tender right there by the knee for me. So again, I'm going to spend about 20 seconds into that tender spot. Light pressure. I'm not pushing down into the roller. I'm just relaxing. And back we go. Hands on the mat, lift up and off. You can also cause injury, right, by pushing too hard. So if you're holding your breath and you're grimacing, it's too much. I have used swimming pool noodles with clients that are super tender. It's also a very portable thing to take with you. Now, we're not talking the whole noodle, but if this were the swimming pool noodle, you can cut it into a little section, right, and use them at home. They're the ones with the holes in the middle, and they're very forgiving and great to use on those areas that are very tender. We are now going into that IT band. So here we go. That IT band runs, tensor fascial lata comes down here, and then that IT band continues down the side of the leg, right? It can be very tight, especially on runners. And it is a very important structural component for us. So we don't want to beat the heck out of it. We just want to make sure that everything is moving, that we don't sense any restrictions, trying to release those restrictions. Once again, I'm going to come over to my side. I'm going to place the roller below the thigh bone. So here's my greater trochanter, right? And then I'm below that. I've got good shoulder girdle mechanics, some core support. Now level 2, you can lift your feet off the floor and roll out that IT band. It's a little hard for me to move all the way to my knee, so I'm doing the upper part of the IT band. The IT band can, particularly I think with people that hyperextend their knees, can roll forward a little bit. So one of the things, this is a nuance, it's not always easy, it's not the easiest thing to do, but as you're rolling, you can drag the, kind of tilt the pelvis and pull the IT band back a little bit. So as I'm going up, I'm also kind of pulling my pelvis forward to get that IT band to come back a bit, right? So that's a little nuance you can bring in. I'm going to lift up and I'm going to do the lower half of the IT band now. I'm sorry, I forgot to show you. Level 1, especially on the hard foam roller, this can be very intense and uncomfortable. So a level 1 or modification is to have your top foot here or your top foot back here and supporting more with your shoulder girdle, okay? So I'm gonna get the lower part of the IT band here. So if I felt like this was too intense, I would be using more shoulder girdle and more weight here to do this release. I'm gonna lift up and bring it a little further down. But again, now I could not do this on a hard roller, I'll tell you that right now. That's how much more comfortable this foam roller is. So feel free to pick one up on Amazon. OPTP, soft foam roller. Good. I'm going to roll back a little bit, forward a little bit. If you feel an area that's particularly tight or feels restricted, okay, this is where you could do that 20-second, very slow. If you're resisting, it's not going to be as effective, so you want to be able to relax. You could do your support here. Yes. Great. Okay, let's try that other side. Great work, you guys. Thank you for all of your attention to your body mechanics and taking care of yourself. So below your greater trochanter, legs up, or here, shoulder girdle, core. Up and down. I'm getting half of the leg from the top down. From the top down. I'm going to be doing a little bit of that dragging. So I'm kind of pulling myself forward a bit. Again, so I'm kind of pulling that IT band back. That tight TFL IT band can also create an anterior tilt on your pelvis, right? So that's tender in there, right there. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna lighten my support. I'm going to do that slow 20-second, relaxing. So I'm a little more anterior, I think, than the IT band. So I'm rolling forward a little bit, kind of coming off of that. So you could get into one of your more lateral hip flexors as well, the quad area. Okay, now I'm gonna lift up and I'm going down the other half of the IT band. That feels much more comfortable for me. Again, I can do a little bit of that, trying to drag the IT band back if you'd like to add that nuance. Check your girdle. Check your girdle. I would recommend doing this a couple times a week if you needed more. Remember, it can reduce DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. So, if you've done a workout and you're a little sore, spending a little time with the roller can be helpful. I think we're done with that. Okay, guess what? It's time to reassess. So let's come down to our backs. Bridge up and down a little bit. Actually, before we assess, I'd like to treat the calf muscles. If you could grab your roller one more time. I'm going to slip that roller beneath my knees, just below the knee, so you can feel the calf resting on top. Relax your legs, your hips, and gently roll in and out. Breathe. Not too fast. Let's lower that down a bit. When I get near the belly of that calf muscle, it can feel a little uncomfortable for me, like driving over something on the road, a little speed bump. If you feel like it's too tender for you, tone the muscle a little bit. Activate your feet and roll, and it'll be a little more forgiving until you feel like you can completely soften at the ankle and foot. Moving down a few more inches. Awareness of the mobility inside the hip socket. Down again. Being present with your sensations. A few more. How about one more? Just notice how the movement is different as the roller moves further away from your pelvis. I think that's good. Let's roll that roller all the way out. Goodbye. Place our feet on the mat. Let's go ahead and bridge up slowly, beginning with the tailbone trajectory up and out. Open the shoulders, soften the sternum. Take a big breath and slowly come down. As I come down, I'm tractioning my spine. I like to use a visual as if my sacrum were a kite and taking up off of the beach. And inhale to prepare, exhale down. Notice how your body feels. Better, I hope. More mobile, more flexible, a little more relaxed. Let's drop our knees over to the side. Pause for a moment for a breath or two. On your next exhale, bring weight down into the belly and the pelvis to bring the knees back effortlessly, and then over to the other side. Has there been a shift in your hips, in your low back? Feel weight in the pelvis coming back to center. Lastly, let's extend those legs down. Before we do, lift up, traction the spine a little bit, stretch those legs out. And then from here, just flop those feet in and out. How does that feel? I hope you feel there's a little more mobility, greater balance perhaps, more ease in the hips, and then just rest. Allow the weight of your body to soften into the floor, your organs. Feel free to stay here and breathe. I want to thank you for coming today to the second part of myofascial release. We took a good amount of time to get through the back body. please know that this can be a much faster experience for you, right? Of course, you don't want to move super quick over the roller. You want to take your time, move slowly, but it doesn't need to be this drawn out. I like to give explanation. I like to take our time, especially if this is your first opportunity to experience that. I like to foam roll a couple times a week. Do what works for you. Make sure to drink a lot of water after a fascial rolling session. We want those tissues to stay hydrated and supporting what we just did. In fact, stay hydrated all the time. I so appreciate you coming today and watching the video and foam rolling with me. Have a great rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you soon.